Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Siren with Startup.Security. In this module, we're going to be covering another very core part of my methodology. A lot of you may have seen it being utilized in my streams in the past, and now we're going to cover it full on. It's my flat file and Bash Alias note and reference system. The principle and the idea behind this reference system is actually very simple. We don't want to have to leave our terminal, right? We don't want to have to open a browser and go to a bookmarked website that might not even be available anymore or might have changed, right? Because they do that too. Optimally, we would like to stay inside of our terminal. Perhaps a new one. We can open a new terminal, that's fine. And have our notes displayed alongside whatever it is that we're doing. Whatever machine we're attacking, whatever network we're inside, whatever it is that we're doing, we want to have our notes in line, quickly displayable right next to us. This is also a great way of localizing resources that would otherwise require an internet connection. So, with all that being said, and the introductions out of the way, let's go ahead and get down to it. Okay. So first things first, we need to talk a little bit about the notation side of things, right? Our single target machines. And we're going to talk and cherry tree about our template. This resource should be made available to you through our website, through our Learn platform. But the idea here, a lot of students have given me feedback and said that they've used this pretty much for all their single target machines. The idea is that for each machine, we want to have our OS information, right? The web technology, the most popular attack surface in the world is HTTP, HTTPS. It's the web surface. So the web technology, the host name of the machine, the IP, any users associated with the machine, full on any credentials like user, pass, something like that. And then we have a to-try list. So based on our nmap results or our nmap scan, we can have a to-try list. This is a list of things that we want to try. That way we can't, we can't be like, oh, I've tried everything. Well, did you go to your to-try list? A lot of people don't really implement a to-try list into their engagements. And the problem with that is, honestly, that you're really hindering yourself. If you want to be a better penetration tester, you're going to say, I need to be able to try this, and that could take hours. I need to be able to try this, and this point could take 30 minutes. I need to be able to try this, and that could take, whatever, X amount of time. The point is that you have a to-try list with items that you consider the lowest hanging fruit or dealing with the lowest hanging fruit on the target machine. Then, of course, the nmap results themselves, they go in here. And web services enumeration. So I have a section just for the largest attack surface in the world, the web surface, and any web service enumeration goes in here. Directory busting, file busting, any findings or web type findings, scratchpad findings we have, they just go in there in this section. Then we have other and privilege escalation. So once you've actually got a shell and you've achieved that bling, that code execution on the machine, and you've got a command line terminal interface, right? Well, then you can go to your privilege escalation section and be like, did I try this thing? Did I try that thing? Or here's the enumeration that I got back from the machine. Here's the release of the machine. Here's the kernel information. Here's running processes. And the idea is that you do this. And I'm going to get to the takeaway concepts here, and then we'll close this out. But the idea is that you repeat this process maybe 100 times, maybe 150 to 200 times on virtual labs, virtual networks, virtual machines. And then eventually You become so lethal as an attacker that you don't even need that to try list anymore. You just know exactly what to try. Or when it comes to other and privilege escalation, you don't even need that anymore. You know exactly what to look for and exactly what the loopholes might be and the misconfigurations. You see, you're helping yourself along the way with this type of system. So, takeaway concepts. For the flat file reference system, which we are going to segue to here in a moment, every machine, and I cannot stress this enough, every single machine, every time we hack a machine successfully, we need our takeaway concepts. These are the concepts that are like, yeah, it was a misconfiguration over this protocol. Well, if that protocol is in place, we can abuse it in this manner and in this fashion to achieve, system level verification of real users on the machine, or to read files from the machine, or to write files to the machine. These types of things, or a single one-liner that we can implement, kind of a thing. It could be anything. The idea is that you always want to have your takeaway concepts. If you go through a walkthrough for a machine, I don't care. I don't care if you go through a walkthrough of a machine. But if you're just scrolling to the bottom to see, okay, what's the one-liner, or, what is the way in, without actually knowing and comprehending what or how that led to compromise of the machine in the first place, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. For lack of a better analogy, you're shooting yourself in the foot at that point. You're hindering yourself, right? Because then you're not going to be able to know these concepts later down the line. Once you do end up passing your OffSec certs or whatever it is, that's a taste of things to come in the real world. And when I was going through it, I thought I would be foolish to go through these machines and not say, well, what was I taking away from these lab machines? What was I taking away, from whatever it was? Did I learn something genuinely actually new? Well, that goes right down here. So that's the takeaway concepts. And with that, guys, that's it. We're going to be using this template alongside Metasploitable 2, alongside, this is just Roadhouse. This is one particular network in the Slayer Labs network that we're going to get to. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just rename this for the time being. We'll go ahead and rename this to Slayer Labs. And we'll talk about that much later. That's not going to happen until much later. But for now, we're under Lessons with Siren. We're going to focus on single target machine enumeration. So that covers Cherry Tree. That covers the Cherry Tree template, which you can already have with a black background. Remember, that's Shift-Alt-B, Enter. Shift-Alt-B for background, Shift-Alt-F for foreground. And yeah, let's go ahead now and start talking about those bash aliases and that flat file enumeration system. So yeah, now we're ready to go ahead and dive into that flat file reference system. And we've already talked about the advantages of such a system. For one, we never have to leave the terminal. We don't have to open a web browser. We don't have to scroll to a page that might not be there, might have been modified. Scroll through that page, potentially find what we were looking for, or have to scrub for what we were looking for, or that one takeaway concept that was really important. Yeah. And bash aliases. We're going to be talking about flat file reference, okay? And we're also going to be talking about bash aliases. Now, you guys remember, if we nmap-p20 or 25 let's export the IP first to 192.168.1.23. That's our target Metasploitable 2 IP address. And then I'm going to say nmap-p25 at the target IP. And yeah, we'll do -sv for service version. And let's hit the return key on that. And we'll see that the host is up. port 25 is open. And you'll recall last time that we used netcat to get into that port, utilize the vrfy protocol command. And by doing that, we were able to verify a system level user through a NET protocol or a network protocol to infer that local system user's existence on the machine. Well, let's say you didn't know about that at all. Oh my. You know what I mean? Let's hit Control-Shift-O. And if you don't have it, make a directory called reference stuff, or reference things, or reference material, or reference underscore material, or just reference. For me, it's always been reference stuff. So I'm going to cd into my reference stuff directory. I'm going to clear the terminal and list everything out. And you'll see I've already got some stuff in here. But gosh darn it, I don't have anything related to SMTP. And man, Siren talked about that really cool thing and how you could use the built-in protocol for one of the most common services, the mail service on port 25, and the vrfy command to determine which users exist. Interesting. Let's say that was our takeaway concept. Let's say the netcat to port 25 and vrfy attack or enumeration technique was our takeaway concept. Let's say that's what it was. We're going to go from beginning to end, creating your own reference file, flat file reference system, Bash Alias to go with it, reloading the Bash RC, editing the Bash RC, saving it, reloading it inside the actual terminal itself, and then finally you'll have it at your fingertips. So anytime you're curious about anything on a scan that comes back with a machine comes back with the scan service information of SMTP on port 25, and you're curious about anything related to it, you can type something as simple as, what's simpler than SMTP ref, short for reference. Or, I don't know, FTP reference. If you see the pattern here, maybe it's a tool and you got really unique stuff like that, like MSF Venom. Then you can type Venom reference and so on and so forth. And these are the Bash aliases that'll make it really simple so you never have to leave the terminal. Let's do one right now. We're gonna do the attack again. We're gonna netcat netverbose to the target IP on port 25. And we're gonna say, I wonder if the root user is on the target machine. So we'll type vrfy root. Root exists, and vrfy this user does not exist. And that way we have an example of a pass and a fail, right? And that's it. We can close the connection with Control-C. I'm going to copy this, including the command, especially the command, right? I'm going to copy that, all of that information, and I'm going to make a file in my reference directory. So here it's out of, if I type pwd for present working directory, that's home Kali reference stuff. So I'm going to touch a file to create a file called smtpref or smtp reference. Then I want to edit and paste my stuff into it. So I'm going to nano smtp reference, and I'm going to hit Control-Shift-V, and that's it. Now I'm going to clean this up. I don't need the Kali at Kali, but I do need the command, right? I do need the command, and I want that nicely separated so that at any point when I do read it, I can just double click it, copy it, paste it into here, and you see where this is going. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty cool. If not, you definitely will be familiar with it by the time this course is over, because I fly with my Bash aliases, and I hope you will too. This will make it so that you're not scrubbing through those resources, wasting brain power on needlessly scrolling through resources on the web when you could have them more efficiently localized on your system. So this is example output of said command, right? And I'll say, output of command or something like that. And then you can edit this however you like. And 252, what was the takeaway here? I'll say this means that the user exists. And then obviously with that 252 code. Cool. So now we have context and everything, and it exists inside of our reference stuff directory. There it is. I can cat smtp reference. I can just cat and read the file. And there we go. Now I can copy this at any time. Done and done. The principle was taken with me. The idea was taken with me. It goes with me wherever my attack machine goes. And it's accessible. Well, not yet. It's not yet accessible via a Bash alias. So let's clear out the bottom here. And what we're going to do is clear out the top. And then we're going to nano our bash rc. So we're going to nano, I'm going to type, tilde / dot bash rc. If you don't want to type all of that, you can type home. You can specify the absolute path dot bash rc. Home Cali dot bash rc. Right? And then I'm going to go down to the very bottom of the file. And there we are. You'll see that I've already got plenty of aliases in here for starting VirtualBox, starting Kubernetes, stopping Kubernetes, owning everything to Kali in the current directory. Like, I love my aliases. They really do make everything a lot quicker, right? But everybody's going to want to have their own aliases. Everybody's going to want to have their own system. They're going to be able to want to call it whatever they want to call these types of commands. But aliases are here to help us. So what we're going to do is type alias smtp ref is equal to, and inside double quotes, what we're going to do is first clear. Because we want to clear, let's say we want the reference all down here. Or maybe we want it in a new terminal over here on the side, right? So what we want to do is clear that terminal, and then we want to cat the home directory path. That's the environment variable, $, capital H, capital O, capital M, capital E. That's the home environment variable. It's the same thing if I type echo $home, see how that's home Cali, or I type pwd, then that's going to be home Cali reference stuff. See? So I'm going to say cat home / reference stuff, and then the file that we just made, smtp reference. Now, anytime I learn a hack for SMTP or port 25, it goes in there. It goes into SMTP ref. Anytime I learn an enumeration technique for SMTP, it goes in there as well. That's just the way that it happens. And you'll end up having and building a massive tool kit and repertoire over so much time that it's not even funny, right? It's not even funny. So generally here, what we're going to do now is say that we're pretty much done. That's it. We've made our bash alias. Now I'm going to hit Control X. It's going to say, and then I'm going to press Y to save the modified buffer and enter. That's Control X, Y, enter to exit and save out of nano. And you'll notice if I type SMTP reference, that's going to say command not found. Every time you add a new bash alias, you need to reload your source. So let's type source.bashrc, and we'll clear the screen. Let's do the same thing down here. We're going to clear the screen and type source because we want it to update for the bottom terminal as well. Now, if I open a new terminal, we don't need to open or type source.bashrc because it's loaded upon initializing a new terminal. But for existing terminals, you need to type the source command. So we'll clear that out. Now let's do that nmap scan again. All right, I'm on a single target machine. nmap-p25-sv at the target IP. Nice. SMTP is open. Okay, I'm gonna open with Control-Shift-E to make a vertical in here, a vertical terminal, and I'm gonna type SMTP reference. Oh, okay. I can just use this command. I remember from that one machine that we did. Let's find out if we can use the vrfy command on this machine. You can imagine how quick this would make you for any of those fancy red teaming CTFs at DEF CON. And then we paste this in. We're connected. Oh, well, I didn't have my IP exported down here. That's because it only exports in the terminal that you export it in. So we have to remember to export the IP 192.168.1.23 or whatever it is for you for the target main exploitable machine in here. Paste that in, and we're here. And then what do? We're connected. Output vrfy root. That was what we learned from that one machine so very long ago, right? And we can confirm root is a real user on this machine. Nice. So I'm going to Control-C out of that. I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to Alt-Tab. I'm going to go to my cherry tree. And I'm going to say that root is a real user on the machine. You see how that goes? So I'm going to take this. You can see how we're going to be using this quite a lot. And under Lessons with Siren, we're going to create a new node or subnode, and we're going to call this primary enumeration. And we're going to make that bold. I'm going to put that in big square brackets, primary enumeration. And we're going to put that at the top. I'm going to paste in my template, and we're going to say that the root user does exist. Now, as far as credentials go for that root user, we don't have this. We don't have the password. But we'll get it. So that's our first bit of, that's our first actual full-on, and we want to make sure to save this. Go to File, guys. File and Save, or Control-S to save your document, for goodness sake. Always save your notes. Save your notes, save your notes. But now you see how good this can be. Let's exit. And I'm going to demonstrate a few of my existing Bash aliases. For one, over the past near decade that I've been doing this, I've just put everything that's most common for web attack surface stuff and so on and so forth, or nmap things, little nuances, I put them into common. And this is available actually on my blog. Pretty cool, right? Very nice. And that's an example of things that I've taken away. What if we need to be able to verify code execution on the target machine in a way that's non-destructive? Well, we can listen with, the TCP dump. These are little things. We can listen with TCP dump over here and then try and execute the ping command back to our attacking machine and see if we receive an ICMP request, thereby verifying code execution. Nice. That's a clean way of doing things. So just, SQLi backdoors into out file, just things that I've collected ever since I started to, well, pretty much where I am today. That's common. I mean, I've got that. I've got, what if I want a good clean shell? I don't want something that's going to break on me. I want it to be as good, if not better, than an SSH shell. I have the breakout command, also available on my blog. And we'll see if we can make these resources also available on the Learn platform. Either way, you can visit sirensecurity.io, and they should be there. If they're not there at the time that you're listening to this, check the Learn platform. They should be there. But yeah, either way, these are things that I encourage you to be making along the way. What about Venom, MSF Venom? I can type Venom ref. I can clear that out. ASP shells, PHP shells, Linux, just netcat, staged versus non-staged payloads. What if we're talking about, I don't know, I guess there's just a lot. I even have a Bash Alias to take me to my reference. So I even have a Bash Alias to take me to my reference directory. My point is we have quite a few. In fact, this many here. So yeah, of tools and concepts and ideas, and some of those are missing, but nonetheless, the point is we have a lot. And you'll be able to do this on your own eventually. What if it's like SSH and you learned just now about the ID RSA? Maybe you attacked a machine and you learned that you could SSH-I ID_RSA after doing a chmod 600 on it as a user at the target IP. Maybe you learned about that and you put that inside SSHref. Well, now I could type SSHref, and there it is. And here's the whole process of how to do that kind of thing in chmod 600, SSH-I ID_RSA. It's all there for you. It's all there for you. So, the idea is that with the system is there for you. But aside from that, guys, that is pretty much going to conclude today's lesson, or this particular lesson, on what my flat file enumeration system is. That's flat file reference system, or notes system. Or notes system. And Bash aliases. Please have fun with your Bash aliases. They don't just have to be for your notes, dude. Like, they can totally be there just for you in your terminal to help you going forward with tools, with all kinds of things. Maybe when exporting IPs or URLs or whatever it may be, right? Who knows? The point is, Linux is a lot of fun. Bash aliases make everything under the hood with Linux a lot more accessible, and it would be silly of us not to use them since we're using Kali Linux 24/7. It just makes sense. It just makes sense to do so. So that's why I kind of came up with this system, and I really hope you guys enjoy this methodology going forward. Let's go ahead and start cracking that Metasploitable 2 machine.